people want a connection. They want to be able to relate
Mm-hmm.
to the professionals, to the people they're hiring to do work with them. I mean, even a doctor. I mean, I get email newsletters from my eye doctor,
Yeah.
So it's just part of the way the world is now. I think maybe 5 years ago, there was a lot more stigma around it, like sharing your personal information and personal stories. But now it's like, if you don't do it, it's almost weird.
Brittney Castro, welcome to the Model FA podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Excited for our conversation today. I appreciate you jumping on with me.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm excited to be here too.
Good stuff. So you've built a pretty amazing financial planning firm over the past couple of years. I mean, your brand it's respected. It's well done. You've done a lot of custom content. You've built courses. You've got a dialed in social media strategy. I'm just curious, like, what was driving you to build all this? How did you know to build all this? Was it like an iterative process where you were just kind of experimenting? Have you always had kind of a vision for building a brand to this caliber? Like, walk me through like what you're doing and kind of how you got to this point.
Of course. So it's interesting because, I mean, yes, I had a vision, but honestly, I think when you're in business, you just create, and I actually have a lot of fun creating. That's where I get my thrill. But 6 years ago, when I started this company, I did have the vision to create a financial planning firm, specifically at that time focused on women, and become a really well-known financial planner in the media for women. So not only did I want to offer financial planning services, but I wanted to replicate like a Susie Orman model and launch courses and become a speaker in media, eventually write a book one of these days.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I really do thank you for appreciating it, because I do feel like for the past 6 years, I've almost have been running two companies, like the financial planning company and then the speaking and media services.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. So where do you find most of your attention goes? Do you work with clients one-on-one still? Have you hired financial planners to handle the hand-to-hand combat of the client relationships? Or are you doing mostly media stuff? Like how is your time spread out right now?
Right now, so this year's kind of like the tipping point year where I'm allocating more time to speaking in media. I do have a financial planner on my team who helps with all the clients. However, I still sit in a majority of the client meetings. But this year has been the year where we're trying to really remove me from all the meetings, because you get to a point where I just can't like physically be in everything.
For sure.
So it is interesting. I think in business, it takes a while. Like I feel like I've been building all these different revenue streams and services, which have always made money. But, it really, now I'm starting to see the real fruits of my labor, which is exciting. And, it's a growth year. It's like a lot of challenges we're facing as we're growing, as it's natural part of, business. But, just trying to figure out how do we continue to leverage and scale and create products and services that continue to help people. And, technology is always changing, and how do we stay innovative?
Mm-hmm. So when you think about the financial planning business over the next like 5 to 10 years, obviously seems like a lot of opportunity for you. Are you going to be pushing your energy in one direction or the other? Are you focused on scaling up the one-on-one relationships and building a bigger financial planning firm? Are you really leaning into the products and courses and leveraged, let's call it coach? Like how are you thinking about that? Where do you feel the biggest opportunity is for today's advisor?
Yeah, well, today's advisor is based on, everybody's unique vision and goals. I think for me, I am focusing on growing the media and online course side. I've always had the vision to keep the practice somewhat small and manageable. I think years ago, I realized I didn't want to create this massive financial planning company and have many advisors under me. It just wasn't the model I was going after. And so now moving forward over the next 5 years, it's going to be really more on the speaking and media. That's where we're pouring a lot of our energy in.
Nice. Have you had any formal media training? How did you get started? Because I know you do a lot of videos, you do speaking, you do podcasts. Yeah. how did you get started in that? How have you refined your craft? Like, what tips do you have for everyone listening today?
I'm still refining. So I had a formal media trainer at one point. So in 2010, I started a YouTube channel, and that was mainly before this company I worked at. Ameriprise was the first company I worked at, and then I went to LPL for a few years. And when I was at LPL, I was launching this brand on this, like, as my brand. So
Okay.
Financially Wise Women originally was a blog, and I started the YouTube channel. And when I was at LPL, I started Twitter, Facebook. And I remember working with the compliance department, literally calling them every day and telling them why they should approve my tweet and why YouTube was the same thing as me teaching a live workshop. And I literally just bought a camera, set it up in my office, shot the videos, taught myself how to edit, got a lighting kit. I did everything.
Wow.
And it was for me because I didn't want to write articles. Like when people told me about blogs and they said, you got to write a blog, I said, oh my God, I hate writing. But if you asked me a question, I could tell you the answer. I just thought of writing it just seems so like torture to me. So that's why I started doing videos. And I think naturally I'm just built for it. Like I don't know, I've always been comfortable talking to people. I was a dancer. So, it was never like I never had that initial fear, or I think a lot of people have. But in terms of like speaking training, I didn't. But what helped me was just experience. Like I always taught workshops, I was always speaking. So then I just started to really learn, how do you connect with people? How do you relate to them and teach them what you have to teach them? And I did get a consulting job when I started Financially Wise Women as my RIA. Mm-hmm. I was also doing like brand consulting. So this first company that I started with was called Next Gen. And we basically, it was really cool. This very successful entrepreneur just sold his business to IBM. He had all this extra money and he just wanted to create video content to help entrepreneurs and startups. And I was the host of this online show. And so I got a formal media coach at that time. She just taught me how to do more, like, talk directly to a camera or green screen when no one's there and you got to pretend somebody's there. So, that was like probably my only formal training. But honestly, just watching myself over the years and editing videos, you kind of see, like, I just self-corrected myself and through experience. And now what I find actually is my biggest strength in speaking is just connecting to people. It's not so much about I'm the best storyteller or that I articulate the talking points in the most, strategic way. I think I just really show up and connect. And when I do videos or any sort of engagement like that, I'm present, I listen, and I respond. And that to me has been the best because also I have a lot of friends who I love, and obviously they are very helpful in my journey. Mm-hmm. But even on my Instagram, I constantly hear, Brittney, why don't you just talk normal? You're still being very weird on camera. Like after all these years.
Nice.
I get feedback all the time, and I think I'm open to feedback. And, it's just so interesting because I feel like I still don't have it right. But, it's like a lifelong journey.
Yeah, I do a lot of video too. And it was, it's funny. I probably started doing video after you, probably about 3 years ago. And I remember the first video I did, it was 2 minutes. And I had never really done video before, but I didn't think it was going to be very hard because I spoke a lot when I was at DFA and I would just naturally like to have conversations. So I get in front of the camera and it took me 4 hours to do a 2-minute video. I literally had to kick my entire team out of we were in my house filming. I'm like, get out of here. I need like space or something. I'm like turning red. It's, and then you're constantly always like honing the craft. You're never perfect at it. There's definitely times where I'm really awkward on video and I'm like, we need to redo that. I look like an idiot on that video. So
it is. And it's kind of fun, because I think people don't really understand how difficult it is just to talk to a camera and be engaging and interesting and the energy involved for a 2-minute video. It's a stamina. I recently got booked to do a video. I get booked for video content with other brands now. And maybe it was like an 8-hour shoot day or something. And the stamina involved, I tell you, I'm like, man, it's just a different stamina to go in and do that kind of work day and be on camera for 8 hours, even though there's breaks and even though they're only like 2-minute videos. Just having that, it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely draining. I can only do like 3 to 4 hour sessions at a time. Otherwise I'll fall over dead. So 8 hours sounds pretty tough. I have to work up to that. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the podcast. If you like this content and you want to get more, you can go to modelfa.com and listen to podcasts, blogs, videos, other resources that are designed to help you grow and scale a profitable advisory practice. You can find this all at modelfa.com. We'll see you there. So what is your, so with the media company, you obviously had to build like 2 companies. You had a team for financial planning and then you had a team for media. Were you outsourcing a lot of the media stuff? Were you building a team that was cross-functional that could like do work in the financial planning business, but also do work for your speaking engagements, the video and the media activities? Like, how did you think about building a team, insourcing versus outsourcing, that type of stuff?
Really trial and error. So it's still pretty lean. I have 3 other people on my team, and it's been about that since the beginning. I have an assistant. I have a financial planner, and I have a creative director.
Okay.
At one point, I also had a social media director who I'm adding back onto the team in a few months just because we need to split out the role of marketing and social media marketing. But yeah, honestly, we just work really well together. We work hard and we do our job. And from day one, I think I've always looked for people who are flexible enough to work under like different roles. So, the fact that my financial planner helps with systems or like specific things we need for our products is like, she's multifaceted. And then my marketing director now, she's so great. I mean, she's been with me for over 6 years. She started just doing with one thing and then another. And then, we kept adding, like I just kept delegating the things I was doing as she built up her own skill set. Now she does most of the content. I still approve it all, but she writes in my voice so well because she knows, right? She's been doing this. She hears me all the time on these interviews or videos and she knows how I speak. It's kind of interesting, actually. She'll send me emails or, content for our products. And I go, wow, Jess, this is great. Like you read my mind, awesome. But that I think is just trial and error. I've had a lot of people that I had to hire and let go along the way. And we've also had a lot of interns along the way, just help with other random things. But there's only 4 of us. And
okay. So pretty small team, but you guys are cross-functional in your skill sets. Are you, with the growth of the speaking and the media stuff, like how are you going to, I guess, monetize that? Is that primarily just by increasing your reach and your audience, similar to like a Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman? And then it's like, we've got the next generation, Brittney Castro's there. She's got her products, she's got her books, she's got, all the stuff that you need to become financially wise? Or are you going to, what are your thoughts around kind of growing that out and then kind of monetizing that?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be just that. So really, we have a few different online products. We have a money class. We have a monthly membership. I'm releasing another just small product in the next month. And then I get booked. I get hired as an influencer now to do either day shoots or like I worked with Chase for 3 years. Now I'm working with INVESTOPEDIA. So I'll continue to do those types of brand deals. But in terms of like scalability, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's just getting more people into our products. And, that's how we'll do it.
Got it. What's the distribution of the products like? Are you just primarily driving people to the website that has the ability for them to buy the product? Are you kind of like running advertising and saying, here's a great product for you? Or do you have like affiliate deals?
No, everything in so far over the last 6 years has been organic. I've never paid for PR. I've never paid for ads. I know I want to and I need to. That's obviously part of the scale factor. But right now, what we've found works really well for our products is partnering with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And, they promote to their list. So, for example, we were just part of this deal where it's actually another business owner runs these types of deals. She pulls all these courses together and markets them at a discounted rate. And then you get a payout because now it's, a collaboration of 30 course creators, all getting their product in the hands of people,
Yep.
the list. So, how that is, that's like these opportunities have always come along. And quite frankly, we just haven't had the capacity to take on ads and do all that. But it is part of the game plan moving forward.
Are you building to sell? Are you building to, I know that's kind of a personal question, but maybe building to cash flow it? What's your goal with the companies? I mean, what are you aspiring to build?
It's probably twofold. I mean, right now I'm building to keep. It's very important to me, especially with the Brittney Castro brand and the products that I'm doing, that I always have the ability to own what I'm doing, because that is just such part of the vision, creating a brand. And but hey, things change all the time. So I'm also a believer in stay open. You don't know how the journey is going to look. You have an idea, but there's so many different ways to get there. And, if you would have asked me when I first started the company, would I get brand deals? I didn't even know what that was, and then I've basically had a brand deal for the last 6 years. So there's just so many things that, you really don't know. And actually I've learned quite over the last few months. I told you we've been growing a lot, and I was trying to figure out the course of where I need to go. And then I finally just realized, you know what, just drop it, go wherever it's going, and then be good with it, because there is a point of, you have a vision, you have a direction, but you also have to go with what's happening. So there has been many times, even in the last 6 years, when in year one, all I did was financial planning. I got only financial planning clients. Then in year two, I launched the online course, and that was a big focus. Then in year three, I did, chase brand deal, so then I was more focused on that. So I've always been building a new service, but I could have easily told you, well, in year two, I wanted to write the book, but I didn't write the book because that wasn't happening right then, and I couldn't carve out time because something else was happening. So there's always that too.
Trade-offs. Yeah. And a lot of advisors want to focus on building the business plan, building the strategic plan in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But I think what you're saying, and I prescribe to this, I agree with this as well. It's, you got to throw that out the window almost daily as you get new information from the marketplace.
Totally. Yeah. Because even my creative director and I, we joke all the time, because we're great, here's our game plan for the next 2 months. And we always laugh, okay, next month we'll redo it because something will have changed within 1 month, right? So we always have timelines. We always have projections, but then it's we also know to flow with what's happening.
What's your opinion on, for advisors that are wanting to work, let's say they don't want to build a media company. I found that most advisors, 99.9 out of 100, are probably not interested in building a media company. But I feel like there's also a huge opportunity for building a media company, because 90% of the population probably can't afford to pay or get really good financial advice from someone like you or I or the others listening to this podcast directly. So, I mean, what is your, I guess, opinion or outlook for the financial planning, financial services industry for those that want to work with clients one-on-one? Are you favorable? Do you think there's going to be, it's going to be better, easier to acquire clients? Do you think it's going to be harder in the future? What type of advice would you have for today's financial advisor on that regard?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm an optimistic person by nature, and I always look at the opportunity in things. And I do believe the need for a personal financial planner is never going to go away. We have robo-advisors, I understand. We have technology, but before this, I sat down with a client and that human element is never going to be taken away. Actually, I think it will only be increased. I mean, we know this. We're all living in this Uber service-based world where things are just coming to us in a moment. But there's still this like, oh, but I need someone to consult with who can help me, especially with money. It's so personal. So I think there is a lot of opportunity for financial planners. And I mean, even just looking at the demographics, there's a lot of baby boomers, they're retiring. The kids want a different type of financial planner. And if you're someone who's wanting to be a successful financial planner, I think you just roll with the times, like make your company innovative, make your services tailored to what your ideal client wants and needs, and be willing to go against the norm. I mean, obviously there's a lot of money to be made in a traditional model as well, but if you're not like vibing with that model, then, find a firm that's different or create your own firm if you're an entrepreneur minded person. And the challenges are going to be, who knows what the challenges will be 5 years from now. But I think if you want to be just successful in life in general, you have to just stay open and willing to change and course correct as many times as needed.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on like amount of time required? Like how much would you say that you worked in the first couple of years of establishing your practice in your media company? And has that changed over the years? Are you working more? Are you working less? Like what type of workload would you say you've had since you started your entrepreneurial journey?
I've always had a workload, but I also made it a priority when I started this company not to get lost in 24/7. And that was my personal choice. So maybe I could have done it in faster. The things I have now in 6 years, I probably could have done in 3 if I wanted to work 24/7, but I wasn't willing to do that. I wanted to also live and have balance in my life. I think it's possible to create work however you want, but you have to be willing to try it out. And I don't think the responsibility or workload ever goes away. Now it's different, right? Like when you're a business owner, you really don't shut it off, but you learn how to have boundaries so you can be clear and you're not just doing unnecessary things all day or creating more work. So I don't know. It's interesting. My workload is almost the same, but I also have more freedom, if that makes sense. And I think the freedom is because I've learned to detach and I've learned to no, I'm not going to deal with that right now because it will take me longer if I deal with it right now and I won't be as clear. So I've learned my own way of dealing with business.
So you're kind of like managing your energy levels. You have these list of like tasks and projects and things you need to do, and you like take stock and you're like, okay, my energy levels are here and I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. Is that kind of how you go about it? You're kind of
as much as I can. And sometimes you can't, being an adult, you got to do things that you don't want to do. Like yesterday, like the last 2 days, it's been like crazy, but okay, this is what I signed up for too. This is part of it. You want the freedom, then you got to be willing to get knocked down and okay, I didn't expect that for a Monday morning, but here we go. You know, you just never know what's going to come your way. And you got to be like, okay, and this is obviously what I'm going to do today. So,
I know it all too well. It's fun.
It is fun.
So with you kind of growing these your practice in the media company, do you have any desire to branch outside of financial services? Because it seems like with a public figure brand, I mean, it could be maybe repurposed for other industries or other products. Have you ever thought about that, or are you kind of firmly rooted in financial services?
Oh no, I've from day one, I wanted to be more of a lifestyle brand, like finance for sure, a financial expert, but what you'll look, if you looked at kind of our lineup of what we're going after, it's more for example, I want I don't know, a deal with a fitness company or a food company, right? So it's all related to money somehow, but it's not just limiting to financial firms or contracts.
Got it.
We're thinking bigger picture.
Cool. How did you, building a media company, building what you build is hard. I mean, where do you get advice? Like, where do you get information, guidance? Do you have like a coach? Do you belong to a mastermind? Like, where are you getting information and knowledge so that you can continue to improve right now?
Yeah, I don't have a formal coach. I don't do any formal masterminds. I actually haven't done any of that for 6 years, but I do have a spiritual community and a lot of guidance within that community. So that's like really important to me. Meditation, I go on retreats. And within my own network, I'm make it a priority to surround myself with very open-minded, successful, loving people who a lot of times what I need most is just support that I can do it, right? Like I do listen to podcasts, I do read books, so that's always a part of it. But oftentimes I know what I need to do and I know how to do it. So it's just like tapping into my own inner wisdom or guidance to like get there. And luckily I have that within my spiritual community. Like even I was thinking today, I'm making some big decisions. We're growing, and it's kind of like you're going after one thing and maybe that doesn't work out. And then I thought, no, I know what I need to do. And I don't need to talk to more people. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't need to hear more opinions because sometimes that clouds your decision making. I'm not saying it's not needed because I've had a lot of mentors and a lot of help and I believe in all of that. But sometimes you know what you need to do and you just got to go do it too.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. You just need the space and sometimes a little bit of a push, but usually you got it already figured out. So with the advisor that's listening to the podcast, and let's say they're trying to acquire more clients and get a little bit more momentum on in the one-to-one side of their business, I mean, what did you have success with? Because obviously you built the financial planning firm first, and that kind of funded your endeavors, at least to a degree, on the media side. Like, what have you seen work? What have you seen not work as far as kind of sales and marketing and growth and that type of stuff?
Well, the financial planning, I've really done well with content marketing. So we push out blogs, I put out content on social media, all of which drives back to our website, which then people sign up for the 30-minute intro call. And that has been like a marketing machine.
Nice.
Of inbound leads for a while now. But, of course, it took consistency. We still do it. We still refine it. Also basic referrals from other professionals. And then the workshops or speaking gigs that I do just to get in front of prospects. So I've done a traditional and also leveraged online marketing to grow the financial planning side. I think for any advisor listening, really just be clear about who you're trying to serve and who you want to be. Because sometimes, like I get a lot of, like every week, a lot of people email me and want to know for advice and support. How did you do it? I said, well, this is what's worked for me. Figure out what's going to work for you. If you hate speaking, if you hate going to workshops, then don't do it.
Yeah.
You find another way, right? Or like, it's like also being a financial advisor is really fun because you can market however you want. You can get the clients that you want. You just have to put some time to be clear. Who is it that I want to work with? Who do I want to serve? What value am I going to bring those individuals? And then just go do it and test. Like, I cannot tell you how many times we've tested things and they failed, but it wasn't like, it's all part of it too. So sometimes I teach a workshop. Even now, I've spoken in front of thousands of people, and sometimes I go to a workshop and there's only 5 people. But it's not to me, it's not about the number anymore. Like I used to be so focused on that stuff, and I realized, it doesn't matter. I'm here just to serve. So whoever came, and give them value. And you never know. One of those people could lead to something else. So, I've really learned that. You just never know.
Yeah. It's more about the process than focusing on the outcome. Got to kind of detach from the outcome, but what I'm hearing is be very clear on the front end with who you are, who you're meant to serve, and then figure out, and test different mediums in order to connect with those people.
Exactly.
So I've seen, like with your content, there's been a big push from technology and other marketing companies to offer like third-party curated content and that type of stuff. I mean, I'm a big believer in like original media, like you creating your own content. Like, what's been your experience with
Oh,
original?
yeah, I've never pushed out fake content, or not fake content, but other content.
Yeah.
I'll never. I mean, so I don't get it, but I know sometimes you have to do it. That's fine too. But I think now more than ever, people want a connection. They want to be able to relate to
Mm-hmm.
the professionals, to the people they're hiring to do work with them. I mean, even a doctor. I mean, I get email newsletters from my eye doctor,
Yeah.
so it's just part of the way the world is now. I think maybe 5 years ago there was a lot more stigma around it, like sharing your personal information and personal stories, but now it's like if you don't do it, it's almost weird.
Yeah, it's true. People just don't know who you are. You're kind of like you're on the shelf, you're faceless, and there's like 1,000 other products there, and they're like, I don't know which one this is. I'm going to choose the one with the label.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
awesome, Brittney. So just to recap, I mean, we talked a little bit about media company, you building the financial planning firm, your preferences for, speaking and building original content. I mean, is there anything else any other tips or advice that you would give for an advisor who's trying to grow, optimize, or scale a practice in today's environment?
Stay in the game. Sometimes it just takes time. If you really, I just am a believer, if you want it, you'll get it. It won't maybe look how you thought it would look or when it will come, but you can be successful. And I wish I would have believed that earlier in my career.
Yeah, it's critical.
When everyone was telling me, but it is true. It's like, if you just stay in the game, and keep focused, keep committed, keep disciplined, you'll get it. And it's going to be better than what you thought.
Great advice. And Brittney and I were chatting before the episode. She mentioned that she has some mentorship sessions that she offers financial advisors. So we'll be sure to drop a link to that below the podcast. So if you'd like to schedule some time with Brittney to learn a little bit more about her practice and get some one-on-one advice, you can do that at the link below the podcast. Brittney, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciated your perspective. Respect everything that you've built. Looking forward to seeing you on a local or national television show, I'm sure, or TV commercial or whatever it is over the next few years. And, hopefully have you back on the podcast at some point in the future to celebrate some more of your wins.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. Take care.
All right, bye.